नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter number 23, beginning from verse number 13 or 12 maybe. So yesterday we read the story of King Rompada and how he got this sage Rishya Shringa or Shringi, and he was friend of Dashratha, and Dashratha had one daughter before Lord Ramachandra was born, and he has given this daughter to Rompada, and this daughter was married to sage Shringi. So we also read the interesting, not really here, but interesting story of Shringi, who has never seen a woman in his life because he was raised by his father, who was never married. So he is son of the sage Vibhandaka, but not born from his wife. So what is interesting is that this is how the sanskaras work. So it is not only the sense object, but the real thing is what is inside one's chitta. Otherwise, why is that he got attracted? He has never heard about women, he has never seen a woman. So why is that when he saw a woman he was very much attracted and he forgot all about his meditation, about his yajna, about his dharmic duties? So this is because he obviously had samskaras from the past life. Certainly there were no samskaras from this life, and even those created an attraction for him. So simply renouncing the sense object is not the solution. As Krishna says, Vishya vinivartante niraharasya dehina. That if you are nirahar, if you are not given food, then obviously you don't have food. But that does not mean that the desire to eat has gone away. Then food will be available, then you will be attracted to the food. So rasvarjam. So that rasa is inside, that attraction, that attachment, liking or disliking. So that is in the chitta, and that will become activated whenever you will have the uddipan vibhav. Right? This is what the rasa theory is, that when you have the bhava and then you get the uddipan vibhava, then you are immediately attracted. So this sage Shringi, he had the bhava to have relationship with women, but he did not get the uddipan vibhava all this time. Right? So because there was no uddipan vibhava, the bhava remained hidden. But when the uddipan vibhava came, then like fire, it immediately caught. And then he left the ashram. He did not think where I am going, what I am doing, my father, what he will think. Because this desire for sense pleasure is so strong, especially for union with other sex, is so powerful that it overpowers everything else. So na tathasya bhaved klesho bandhaschanya prasangata. Krishna says that there is nothing else which is more troublesome and which creates more bondage than the association with opposite sex, or to associate with somebody who associates with opposite sex. Stri sangi sangi nam tatha stri prasangata. So for man it is women, for women it is men. So he says there is nothing else. Sadrishtva devmayi mayam tadbhave rajitendriya. So this is devmayi maya. This is the biggest maya. And by seeing, of all the senses, the sense of seeing, that is which creates uddipana more than anything else. So therefore renunciation should be based on knowledge. If renunciation is based on ignorance, then it is not very stable. Sringi Rishi's renunciation, he was renounced, right? He was completely renounced from sense object, but it is not based on proper understanding. And therefore he was not able to discriminate. So when you have knowledge, that itself it is difficult, but if you don't have knowledge, then you will not discriminate, because he was not trying to renounce knowingly. He was forced to renounce by his father, right? It is his father who put him in quarantine. So, and he put him in quarantine from his very childbirth, from his very birth. So he had no knowledge. So the father thought that this way he will be very safe. But it did not work. So therefore, it is important to have knowledge. And then when you renounce, then at least you know that this is good, this is bad. He did not know. If he had known, he would have probably avoided it. But he did not know, therefore he did not avoid. And he was fooled very easily. So that is what is being described. It's a very interesting story, because people also, you hear stories of not seeing this, not going here, not this. You can do that. If that is not done with proper understanding or proper knowledge, then it will not work. So
Babaji, one small question here. Like Rishi Ringa was must have been studying scriptures. So in the scriptures, there are a lot of description about ill effects of sex and about women.
No, he was not studying scriptures like that. He studied only Vedic mantras, doing yagyas and reciting maybe stotras. There is no description like that.
No Sanskrit grammar.
Maybe not. And even if it's grammar, maybe his father taught him. He can still teach what is there. And this is word, and this is just called gender. What does a child, you teach a child, what does he know? It is because he knows, so you think. But previously this is how the education was. That you study the Vedas means you just memorize. Memorize the sutras, memorize the Vedic mantras, learn how to do yajna. And then this type of study comes later on. Okay. So then we had this Rompada's son was Prithula and his son's name was Brihadratha, Brihadratha's son was Brihadkarma, Brihadbhanu, and Brihadratha's son was Brihadmana, and Brihadmana's son was Jadratha. I think this is what we read. So Vijayastat Sambhutyam and Tasau Dhitira Jayata. So then his son was Vijaya from the wife called Sambhuti. Jadratha's wife's name was Sambhuti, from whom was born Vijaya. And Vijaya's son was Dhriti. So Dhriti Rajayata, Tato Dhritvata, and his son was Dhritvata. Tasya Satkarma Adhirathastata. And his son's name was Satkarma, and Satkarma's son's name was Adhiratha. And this Adhiratha is the one who got Karna. Adhiratha, and Adhiratha's wife's name was Radha. And they are the one who got Karna. So Yosau Ganga Tate Kridan Manchusa Antargatam Sishum Kuntyap Vidham Kaninam Anapatya Karot Sutam. So one day he was playing on the bank of Ganga, and then he saw that there was a Manjusa, like a box, and in that there was a baby. And baby was just flowing in the river. So he caught, and this baby was very beautiful, and this was the Kanina son. Kanina means the son who is born before marriage. So this is the Kanina son of Kunti. Kunti has performed service to Durvasa at the house of his father, and then he gave him this mantra. So she tested it and she got the son, and she was afraid that I'm not even married and I got a baby. So she quietly put it in the river. So this is the son of sun. So the real son. And Adhiratha did not have any son. So therefore he took away that child and brought up as his own son. Vrishasena Sutastasya Karnasya Jagatipate. And this boy's name was Karna, and his son's name was Vrishasena. And Vrishasena, if you have read Mahabharata, he was killed in the Mahabharata war. Karna was also killed. Karna was killed by Arjuna, and his son was also killed. So then that's where it came to an end. So now he tells the story of Druhyu. Yayati, he is telling the story of Yayati's sons. So Puru, that is the first one he said, and then there is Druhyu, Turvasu, Anu, and Yadu. So Yadu will be the last one. So now he explains about Druhyascha Taniyo Babru Setus Tasya Atmajastata Arabdhastasya Gandharastasya Dharmastato Dhrita Dhritasya Durmanastasma Pracheta Prachatesham Satam. So Yati's sons Druhyu, Druhyu's son was Babru, Babru's son was Setu, Setu's son was Arabdha, Arabdha's son was Gandhar. So Gandhar is in Afghanistan, now known as Kandhar. Kandhar is, actually the name is Gandhar. So this Gandhar was established by this king Gandhar. And this is from here that the Gandhari came, wife of Dhritarashtra, the mother of the Kauravas. So this is the area where these people were ruling. So then his son's name was Dharma, Gandhar's, and his son's name was Dhrita, and Dhrita's son's name was Durmana, and Durmana's son's name was Pracheta, and Pracheta had 100 sons. So this is the story of the Druhyo. Now Mlechadhipatyo Bhuvan Udichim Disham Ashrita. So these 100 sons of Prachetas, this dynasty stops here because all these 100 became Mlechas. So all these countries which you see, Afghanistan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, and Russia, Belarus, China, these are all people, they were ruling there. This is the northern direction, and they are, for some time they followed the Vedic culture. That's why in the Russia they still have Russian Veda. I was reading, you know that? They have Russian Veda. And that they have stories like this also. So this is what is mentioned, Malechadhipatyo Bhuvan Udichim Disham Ashrita. So all in the northern direction. So that's where it comes to an end. Then he explains the dynasty of the other son called Turvashu. Turvasoscha Suto Vannir Bhagavat Bhanuman. So Turvasu's son's name was Vanni. Vanni's son's name was Bhaga, and Bhaga's son's name was Bhanuman. And Vibhanus Tatsutosyapi Karandhava Udaradhi. And his son's name was Tribhanu, and Tribhanu's son's name was Karandhama. And Karandhama was a very great king and very generous. And Maruttas Tatsuto Putra Putram Paravam Anvabhut. Then son of Karandhama was Maruta. And this Maruta did not have any son. But this Maruta had performed a very big yajna in the Himalayas. So in Mahabharata it is described that when Yudhishthira Maharaj, he won the battle of Kurukshetra, and after that he did Rajasuya Yajna. But to do Rajasuya Yajna you need a lot of wealth, and he did not have, because all the wealth, whatever they had, was finished in the battle. So then Krishna said that you should go to the Himalaya, and there was a king long ago, Maruta, and he did a big yajna, and in his yajna he used all golden pots. And he did this for a very long time. I think for 12 years, if I am not wrong. It is there where the Agni got indigestion. So much ghee was being poured that the fire also lost its fire. If you put too much fuel into the fire also extinguishes. So he said, you go there, because after the yajna was over, he left all the pots and pans and everything there only. He said, there's so much gold. So Yudhishthira has actually sent a lot of these donkeys and I think camels to go and carry. That's what was used. So this is that Marut. But he did not have a son. So what he did, this is another strange thing here. Aputraha, he was Aputra, no son. Putram Parvam Anvabhut Dushyanta. So he accepted Dushyanta as his son. Now this is very strange, because this is the Dushyanta who is father of Bharat. who got married to Shakuntala. And then he installed his son Bharata as the king, and he left for the forest. And now he comes back and becomes the king again, but in a different place. So this is not understood why he did that. There must be some reason, because if he gave up once and he already ruled, he was famous. So why he has to again come back? So he was son of Puru, that's why it is called Pauravam, and he got son, and it is from him that it continued then. Dushyanta sa punar bheje swam vansham rajya kamuka. So somehow he again got the desire to be the king. So either it was that his son was very powerful, Bharata, and he maybe had some trouble with him, we don't know, and therefore he left, or he thought that Bharat is a better ruler, but still he was not satisfied like Yayati. So he accepted, and he must have been already grown up person. It's not that he was a young man and was adopted by this Maruta as son. He must have been already himself a very, at least beyond 50 or whatever. So this is interesting, because if you see 9th chapter, 20th chapter, 23rd verse, there it says that Pitri uprate sopi chakravarti mahayasa mahima giyate tasya hare ransa bhuvo bhuvi. This is described about Bharata, that Bharata, he became the king when Pitri uprate, when father became renounced, Uparata. And now the father again comes back, but in another place.
Could not be another person by the same name?
No, he's the same. Because he's a Paurava. And it also says, Dashyanta sa punar bheje. Punar means again. Rajya kamuka, desiring. So it is the same person. But he started his own dynasty now, not dynasty of Maruta, because he says Swavansam Rajya Kamuka, Swavansam. So up to here he has described the 4 sons of Yayati. And now he starts describing Yadu. And this is the last one and the most important one, because it is in this Yadu dynasty that Krishna appeared. So he will describe in the next chapter, he will come to that, describing Krishna and all that, and then 10th, that's where 9th canto ends, and then 10th canto Parikshit will ask that I want to hear more detail about Krishna. And that 10th canto unfolds that way. So how it will lead to 10th canto. So Yathir Jeshta Putrasya Yador Vansam Narashadha. So Yadu was the eldest of 5. Yadu was son of Devyani, and he was the eldest, but he was also deprived of kingdom by Yayati, because he refused to give his youth, right? So he says, you will not become king. But then they became king. So his curse did not have much value. The meaning is that. because Yayati did curse, but Yayati is not some god. So maybe it had some value, but not so much. And of course, Yayati made Puru as the king, right? And the other 4 sons he put under him. So Yayati was also there, but except that he should have been the emperor in place of Puru, but he was not. But he has cursed that you will become Lechhas and all that, remember? So that story came, that all this Gandhar and all these Prachetas, 100 sons, and that's where it ends. So that is Yayati's curse coming into play. Varnayami Mahapunyam Sarvapapaharam Nrinam Yadorvansham Nara Sutva Sarvapapai Pramuchyate. So now he is drawing attention to Yadu. He says, now I will describe the dynasty of King Yadu, which is very pious and it relieves one of all sins, and anyone who hears will become free from all sin. Srutvana sarvapapai pramuchyate. So its greatness is primarily because of Krishna appearing there. Many other great kings also appeared, but it is Krishna who personally came. Therefore it says, Yatra avtirno bhagwan Paramatma narakritihi Yado sahasrajit kroshta nalo ripuriti shruta. So it is in this dynasty that Bhagwan Paramatma appeared in Narakriti. So both words are used here, Bhagwan and Paramatma, because Krishna is Bhagwan, but when he comes, Paramatma is also part of him. So he described as Narakriti. So there is a little comment on that by Vishwanath Chakravarti. Narakriti, Naraswarupa. So Narakriti means in the form of Nara, Narjatirva, or as a human being. Akriti Shabdasya Swarup Vachitve Jati Vachitve. So Narakriti, Akriti can refer to Swarupa, means the appearance, means he appeared like a human being, or it can refer to Jati, the class of human beings. Paramatmano naratvasya na tatrasthyam kintu sarupatvam eva iti jnapitam. So the tatrastha, the humanness of Paramatma is his swarupa, means it is how he appears. It is not something coming from outside, but he is a Narakriti, as it says, Gudham Param Brahma Manushalingam. This comes later on in 10th canto. Iti anena gyapitam. Agre api gyapyishyate. It will be also explained later on. So that's a small comment. Other comments are just the names. So now he says that Yadu has sons. His son's name was Sahasrajita, Kroshta. What is the meaning of Kroshta? Harinamati Vakan. Kroshta, Kroshtara, Kroshtara. Jackal. Why is called Jackal Kroshta? Because it comes from Krush Dhatu, to cry. In English you have cry. Jackal, you have heard them crying, right? They put their mouth up in the sky and then cry. That's why they're called Kroshta. So maybe when he was born he also cried like that and they called him Kroshta. Sometimes the names were given like that. Right? So then Nala and Ripu, these are 4 sons of Yadu. So Chatvara, Sunves Tatra, and Satyajit Prathama Atmaja, and then there is Satyajit, is the son of the first one, Sahasrajit. Sahasrajit's son was Satyajit, and then his son were Mahahaya, Venuhaya, Haihayascha iti Tatsuta. So this Satyajit had 3 sons who were called Mahahaya, Venuhaya, and Hayahaya. Out of these, Hayahayas were very famous. So now you have Hai. So here we have the whole dynasty of Kshatriyas, which are called Hai. So this Kartavirya Arjun, his story we read earlier, remember? Sahasrabahu, 1,000 arms. He came in Hai dynasty. He'll describe that. So Dharmastu Hai Suto Netraha Kuntehe Pita Tataha Sohanjira Bhavat Kunter Mahishman Bhadra Sainaka. So Dharma was the son of Hai, and Dharma's son's name was Netra. Netra's son's name was Kunti. Kunti's son's name was Sohanji. Sohanji's son's name was Mahisman. So Mahisman, he is the one who made this Mahismati. Where is Mahismati? In Maharashtra? Somewhere, I think there. Narmada. Narmada is in Madhya Pradesh? Yes? Narmada is in Madhya Pradesh.
It's in Madhya Pradesh, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Madhya Pradesh and then Gujarat.
Yeah, so Mahismati is somewhere on the bank of Narmada.
Mm.
Who was in Mahismati? There is somebody was there saying Mahismati.
Sahasrajit also was in Mahismati.
Yes, Kartavirya Arjun, that's where we read. So that's where he was playing in the Narmada river, remember? When Ravana came there. So this is that Mahis. So this was founded by this king Mahishman. And his son's name was Bhadrasenaka. And Bhadrasenaka Durmado Bhadrasenasya Dhanke Kritviryasu. So his son's name was Durmada, Durmada's son Bhadrasen, Bhadrasen's son was Dhanaka, Dhanaka's son's name was Kritvirya. And Kritagni and Kritvarma and Kritauja. 4 sons he has, Dhanaka Atmaja. Sons of Dhanaka, Kritvirya, Kritagni, Kritvarma, and Kritauja. Kritvarma is also in Mahabharata, right? Who is Kritvarma?
He's the one who was with Ashwatthama and
Right.
3 of them were there.
He was also the teacher for them. So then the son of Kritavirya, the eldest, is Arjuna. So Arjuna Kritviryasya Swaptadipishvaro Bhavat Dattatreya Dher Ansat Prapta Yoga Mahaguna. So son of Kritvirya is Arjuna, therefore he is called Kartavirya Arjuna. His name is only Arjuna, but just to distinguish him from the famous Arjuna, Krishna Arjuna, he is called Kartavirya Arjuna, means the Arjuna, the son of Kritavirya. So this is Pandava Arjuna, he is Kartavirya Arjuna. So this is Arjuna Kritviryasya. So this Arjuna, he was very powerful. He was so powerful that he was ruling over the whole planet Earth. Saptadvip Ishvara Bhavat. How? These are the people who were cursed by Yati not to become the king, because Yadus could not become king, but he, in his dynasty, he was ruling everywhere. So this is because of the blessing of Dattatreya. So Dattatreya Hareransat. That's why in this area, in Maharashtra and this part, Dattatreya is famous there. Right? Still they worship Dattatreya in that area. So he was also from that part and he worshipped Dattatreya. Maybe Dattatreya was still living at that time. And he got the blessing of Dattatreya. And by his blessing, he became invincible. Nobody could defeat him. He got a lot of yogic powers. He did also practice of yoga. These days we only hear about these siddhis in the 3rd chapter of Yoga Sutra. But in the olden days, people used to have them actually. They lived a long life, and because he ruled for 85,000 years. So how he could live that long? Now we will not believe this, right? So at that time, what was reality? At present, we don't even believe in it. What to speak of having it, right? That kind of thing we cannot even believe. Forget about having an experience of it. So that much we are removed from that. So this is described here, Dattatreya Hareransat Prapta Yoga Mahaguna. That Dattatreya, who is the Ansha of Hari, Krishna, because he is an avatar, he got Yoga Mahaguna. He got blessings. And now he describes him, Nanunam Kartaviryasya Gatim Yashanti Parthiva Yagya Dana Tapo Yoga Shruta Virya Jayadivi. He says that there will be no king in future who will be like Kartavirya. And in what? In doing yagya, number 1, dana, giving charity, tapa, doing austerities, yoga, practice of yoga, sruta, knowledge of the Vedas, virya, the prowess, and jaya, victory. So he went around and he conquered everybody. So everybody was under his control. So in India, the control shifted from place to place. It was not always just in one place. Everybody has to bow down to him. And now it is described, which is the unbelievable thing. It says, Panchashiti Sahasrani Hyavyahata Balasama Anishta Vitta Smarano Bhubjaya Akshaya Shadvasu. So he says that he ruled for 85,000 years without losing any power. Avyahat Bala means he did not become old. Now they are doing research in the West how not to become old. This is one of the cutting edge research which is going on, how to rejuvenate the cells so that you don't have to die. But what they will do when the corona comes? So he says that with his 6 senses, he ruled for 85,000 years without any obstacle, without any disease, sickness, old age, none of these things. His power did not diminish. Generally with age your strength goes down because your fire of digestion becomes slow. You can eat but it doesn't get digested. Then you lose your power. So he was still strong because of his yoga practice. And Anashta Vitta Smarana, his wealth and his strength, they were undiminished. He did not remember that ever he lost them. There was never an instance. Therefore he says, Avitta Anashta Vitta Smarana. He had no such recollection that ever, because in 85,000 years it is possible that for maybe 1 month you are sick and you are bedridden, right? It happens. I mean, we all fall sick sometimes. So he says that he did not have any such remembrance that he ever was sick. And he alone ruled. So in some of the books there are mantras about him also. There is Kartavira Arjun Gayatri, and there is a worship of Kartavira Arjun for attaining power and strength. There is a whole process. In one of the commentaries I was reading, they have given the whole mantra. I think it is Vansidhar. Yeah, Vansidhar, he gives this. Mul mantrena sahasranati kritva anulom matrika maladau pratilom matrika malam chaiti japet. He has given a whole process for this. How to do it. He doesn't give the name of the book, he simply says Granthantara. But this came earlier also, this point, when we read about Kartavira Arjuna. So he was some great king. Tasya putra sahasresu panchair vo varita mridhe Jayadhvaj Sursena Vrishpa Madhur Urjita. So he had 100,000 sons, but they were all killed. If you remember Parsuram, he chopped all of them one by one because they stole the cow. When there is power, then pride also comes with that. So they became very proud, especially the sons. If you have a powerful father, then sons become proud. So then Parsuram, he killed all of them. 5 of them escaped. So 9,995 were killed, and 5 somehow escaped, which are called here Jayadhvaja, Sursena, Vrishbha, Madhu and Urjita. Out of these 5, one is Madhu, and it is because of this Madhu that Krishna is called Madhava. See, Madhu, sometimes Krishna is called Vrishni, Varshney and Madhava, and of course Yadava. So Yadava is because of Yadu, Madhava is because of Madhu. Madhava has another meaning also. Madhava also means husband of Lakshmi. Dhava means husband, Ma means Lakshmi. But actually it's come from this Madhu. And then we have Vrishni, who comes after Madhu. So therefore he is called Varshniya. So Jayadhvajat Taljangha. From Jayadhvaja, the eldest, there was a son named Taljangha. These Taljanghas were another one who were very powerful Kshatriyas. And Taljangha had 100 sons. Kshatram yat Taljanghakhya Morva Tejob Sanghritam. So there is Taljanghas, the sons of Taljangha are called Taljanghas only, and they were protected by the sage Orva. So it is described here that Orva Teja Upsanghritam. So Orva was, I think when Parsuram was going around killing, then his mother protected him. Somehow spared, that's how he was born. Tesham Jyeshtho Viti Hotro Vrishni Putro Madho Smritaha Tasya Putra Satam Tu Asid Vrishni Jyeshtam Yatakulam. And then the eldest of them was Viti Hotra, And then Vishnu is the son of Madhu. So from Madhu Madhav, from Vishnu Varshneya. Tasya putra satam tu asid Vishnu jeshtham yatah kulam. And he had also 100 sons. Madhu had 100 sons and Vishnu was the chief of them. And he himself says this here that Madhava Vrishnayo Rajan Yadvaschaiti Sangita Yaduputrascha Kroshta Putro Vrijinvanstata. He says because of these three, the descendants are called Madhavas, Vrishnis and Yadavas. And then he comes to the second son. This was the first son of Yayati. The second son is Kroshta. His son is Vrijinvan. And then Swahasti Tato Rusair Kurve Tasya Chitratas Tata Shashbindur Mahayogi Mahabhojo Mahanabhut. So then we have Kroshta. Kroshta's son is Vrijinvan. Vrijinvan's son is Swahi. Swahi's son is Rushaiku. Rushaiku's son is Chitratha. Chitratha's son is Shashbindu. Shashbindu is another amazing person. There are some unbelievable persons here. So now hear about Shashabindu. This you will not believe at all. So Shashabindur Mahayogi, Mahabhojo Mahanbhut. So this Shashabindu was a great yogi and he was a very opulent. Mahabhogi means he had a lot of opulent and very powerful person. So what is his power is being described here now. Chaturdasa Maharatna Chakravarti Aparajita Tasya Patni Sahasranam Dashanam Su Mahayasa. So he had these 14 Ratnas with him. And he was a Chakravarti Samrat, emperor, and he was also unconquerable. And he had 10,000 wives. This is Shashabindu. And how many children he had? He had like 10 million or maybe more. Let's see how many. So he had how many? He has 1,000 million children. Because from each wife he produced 100,000 children. So he was a real Prajapati. So he had 10,000, which means 4 zeros, 10 to the power of 4. And then from each he produced 10 to the 5 children. So how many children? 10 to the power of 9. So that is 100 million. That many children he had.
How did he produce it?
Well, that's why he says he was a Mahayogi. Yoga means union, right? And he was not just yogi, he was Mahayogi. So what is impossible for yogi? How he did it does not explain. Obviously it must be some yogic power. And that's what he says here, that Tasya Patni Sahasranam Dasanam Su Mahayasa 10 laksha Sahasrani Putranam Tasu Ajijanat. So 10 laksha Sahasrani, that many children. Tesham tu Shat Pradhananam Prithu Sarvasha Admi. But out of these only 6 were prominent. I don't know where they lived and how he fed them and what they did. That is not known. Maybe most of them died, who knows? Right? Many children died.
kasi karbo.
So the eldest of them was Prithushrava, and Prithushrava's son's name was Dharma. Dharmo naam Ushna tasya yedma satasya yat tata suto ruchkas tasya panchasat atmaja shrunu. And Dharma's son was Ushna. Ushna did 100 Asmed Yagya, and Ushna's son was Ruchaka. Ruchaka's son had 5 sons. Panchas asan atmaja shrunu. So now listen to the sons of. There is one more interesting person coming, and then this will be the end of chapter. Out of all the kings which you have heard, this is the most interesting one, because you will think, how can be a king like him? This will be most surprising one. So Purujit Rukma Rukmeshu Prithu Jamaga Sangita. So the son's name was Purujit, Rukma, Rukmeshu, Prithu and Jamagha. And he talks only about the Jamagha. Jamaghastu aprajo api anyam bharyam Shabyapatir bhayat. So Jamagha, his wife's name was Shabya, and he did not have any children for a long time. But he did not marry another because he was so scared of his wife. So all the time you hear that these kings have and the wives have, and earlier this guy is having 10,000 wives. So he did not have a child, and usually having a child is very important for the kings, and if they don't have, then they marry someone else. So he did not marry another one because of his wife, because wife was so controlling that you won't believe it, that how could he be even a king. So he was completely under the control of his wife. If wife said sit down here, then he will sit down, and if he said stand up, he will stand up. If he will say remove this minister, he will fire him. Hire this one, he will do that. He did not do anything without the permission of his wife. So na Vindan chan bhavnad bhojyam kanya maharashit rathastam tam nirikshaha shabya pati marshita. So what happened is that once he attacked a king, neighbor king, and he defeated him. And when he defeated and he went into the palace, he saw that there was a very beautiful girl, the princess, whose name was Bhojya. So he thought, let me take her. So he put her in the chariot and he came to his capital, and everybody was singing his glories because he was victorious. But when he came near the palace and his wife saw that he's coming with a girl, she freaked out. She was completely furious and started abusing him right there in public. He says, you nonsense, how dare, this is my place, how is that she is sitting in my place? How dare can you do this? Don't you know me? And all this. So the king became very scared, and he didn't know what to do. So he says, Kayam kohake mat sthanam ratham aropitayati vai. He says, you cheater, who is this? And how is that she is in the chariot where I sit? How dare you can do this? So the king became so scared, he was trembling, and he says, no, don't worry, she is going to be the wife of your son, Snusa. He says, no, it's not for me. I'm not bringing that, I will marry her. She will be the wife of your son. Snusa tvaya abhite smayanti patim abravit. So then she became even more angry. He says, what nonsense. Don't you know that I don't have a son? I am bandhyasa patni cha snusa me yujate katham. I am barren. I don't have a child. I also don't have a co-wife. Because sometimes you can say, if you have a co-wife, then he'll be her son and that is also like your son. So I don't have any co-wife and I don't have child, so what nonsense are you talking? You're trying to fool me? I mean, he was trying to protect himself from that situation. But she did not leave him. So then he said, no, you will have a son. And then he will marry her. Janisyasi yam ragi tasya yam upyujyate. So when he said this, then the Viswadevas said, yes, the king is right. Because he performed lot of service for the Viswadevas to get a son. He was always doing yajna, and they said, yes, he will have. Anvamodanta tad Vishwadeva pitra evacha. And the forefathers also said, yes, the king is right, he will have a son. And then later on, Shabya garbham adhat kale kumaram sashve shubham. Then in due course of time, this Shabya finally became pregnant and gave birth to a son. So now you can imagine that the son and his wife must be double the age. Because by the time he is becoming young, she will be already at least in her 30s, if not more. If she was 15, 16 by that time, then even if the boy is going to marry when he is 16 or 20 or whatever, he will be reaching 30. But that's when the wife is controlling. That's what happens. So you never heard any king who was so much controlled by the wife. So this is the end of this chapter. I'll stop here.
Question, Babaji. This Nala which is mentioned here, is it the same Nala in Damayanti which is...
No, I don't think so. If it was same, we would have said something, because that Nala was very famous.
And Sahasrarjuna was killed by Parsuram also. Parsuram killed him.
Yes.
And recently I watched Vishnu Puran, and it says Sahasrarjuna Arjuna was harassing so much to the Rishi Munis, their ashrams, burning their ashrams and forcing them to stop all the yajnas or other things. So,
well, I don't know.
Therefore, the reason Parsuram killed him.
According, at least Bhagavatam story is that he stole the cow.
Yeah, he did stole the cow, and therefore he killed his sons.
So
his children.
So he must be doing that also.
Yeah.
Well, when you have so much power, then obviously it happens.
Thank you.
प्रभुता पाए काय मद नाही. क्या बोलते हैं गोसाई जी? Right? You have heard this? प्रभुता पाए काय मद नाही. When you have prabhuta, power, then you become proud.
I have a question.
Yes.
My question is on the word Narakriti. We observe that in Sri Krishna, when he was born, like the baby, he could he married 16,000 wives. It is something a human, it's impossible for any human to do. So in what sense the word Narakriti used? Because he did like superhuman acts.
No, Akriti means form. Akriti is not talking about act. Akriti means appearance. And Nara means human appearance. It's like we are hearing how these people This Rashbindu is having 10,000 wives, producing how many 100 million children. That is also superhuman. But he was a human. He had a human form. So Narakriti simply means that his Akriti is of a human, not like Narsingha, half Nara, half Singha, or Vama, or Matsya, or Kurma.
Yati made Puru the emperor and the other sons were under him. No? So how did it happen that all these other sons suddenly came to power and then they themselves became...
Well, that this is whoever is powerful, then they do a Rajasuya Yajna, and then they go around conquering. So you accept their authority. It doesn't mean that they remove those kings or kill them. It's just that they are accepted as authority, that's all.
But was Puru still above them? At
Yeah,
that
but this
time?
is much later on. Puru is gone now.
Oh,
Puru is not going to live
yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
This is down the line, much later.
But his brothers at that time, at his time, his brothers were always under him?
Yeah, they were under him. It was the kingdom of Yayati, which he divided into 5 parts. Remember that he gave the eastern to this, southern to this, and Puru was in the center.
Is about samskara of previous life, like this. What was his name?
Shringi.
Shringi. That two things, that the father was trying to protect him in a way, not by giving him knowledge, but just like
Well, not giving knowledge means not giving knowledge about women,
Yeah.
not that he was not giving him other knowledge.
Yeah. And then this.
His idea was that if he does not know about women, then he will have no interest in them. Because if you don't know something, how can you have interest in it?
In that life he didn't know, but he has this.
So that's what I was saying.
So this means that samskaras also previous life can be activated in this life.
Yeah, why not? They were called vasanas.
Not only this that we have, like the baggage of this running life. And then another thing is about karma, that he was always feeling inadequate or like inferior, although he was so powerful and he was the direct son. And then I'm wondering is also because maybe he was rejected by...
Yeah, that's what happens when you are rejected. Then, of course, he did not know that.
Yeah.
He did not know that. He was taken up by Adhiratha, but just that Adhiratha was not some famous king. In fact, they were considered really as Sutak, which is a mixture of Kshatriya and Brahmana, I think. This is like Varna Sankara type of.
So he was not recognized as a full, like, pure.
Yeah, that's why Dronacharya did not want to teach him. He says, you are not a Kshatriya. That's when he went to Parsuram.
So that he was angry also inside because of all these obstacles.
And it's not an obstacle, just that he didn't teach him.
Yeah, but I mean, he was not recognized actually
Recognized as what?
as a powerful person.
He was recognized as a powerful person, it's just that he was not accepted as Kshatriya. So that's why Duryodhana made friendship with him and he made him a king.
Mm.
Can give the mic to
I just wanted to know about Kartiveer Arjuna. I thought he was blessed by Dattatreya to not get defeated.
him.
Then how did Parshuram defeat him?
Said except for God, no human being can defeat him. So he did not think that Parsuram is also avatar. Thought he is just another guy. That's what Ravana thought. That who is Ram? He's just some confused fellow. And that's what. See, everything has there are different ways of seeing things. Ravana thought that this Rama is actually an unqualified son of Dasratha. Therefore, he is thrown out. And he said, the proof is that he does not even know that there is no golden deer. He is so greedy and such a confused person that I took this Marichi and put him as a deer in front of him, and he is running after him because wife says. So he says, does he not know that the deer is not golden? So he must be a disqualified person. So I don't have to be afraid of him. That's what he's thinking. And Ram is thinking that you want to think I am confused, I will become confused. This is how devotees think. Because what is the loss for him? If he is God, what difference does it make to him if he can run after a deer? He is playing the role of a human being, so he can play it nicely. So that's why in Hindi or in Sanskrit we have this word Mriga Marichika. The word mirage is translated as Mriga Marichika. Mriga means deer and Maricha is golden. Golden deer. It comes from there. It means an illusion. Marichi also means the sun rays, and Mriga means deer, so it has another meaning that the deer thinks it is water and runs behind it. So therefore it's also called Mriga Marichika in that sense, double meaning. And the deer's name was also Marich, Mriga Marich. Okay.